In a sense, Joseph owed his promotion to cows. We know Joseph as the son of Israel who was sold into slavery in Egypt. After years of laboring for his master and languishing in jail for a crime he didn't commit, Joseph came to the attention of Egypt's Pharaoh and was promoted from prison to rulership over the whole land. It happened when Pharaoh had a dream about cows. Pharaoh saw 7 good, healthy cows come up out of the Nile, and 7 other cows, thin and ugly, come up after them. The bad cows swallowed the good cows. And then Pharaoh woke up. That was one of 2 dreams that night that so troubled Pharaoh that he searched for someone who could interpret them. Pharaoh's chief butler put in a good word for Joseph, suggesting that since he had interpreted the butler's dream when he had been in prison, he might be able to do the same for Pharaoh. And so Joseph found himself telling the most powerful man on earth that his dreams meant there would be 7 years of plenteous harvests and 7 years of terrible famine. This story helps us understand the nature of evil and the ways people respond to it, provided they recognize its presence. The lesson comes in the details of Pharaoh's dreams as he explained them to Joseph. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Behold, in my dream I was standing on the banks of the Nile. 7 cows, plump and attractive, came up out of the Nile and fed in the reed grass. 7 other cows came up after them, poor and very ugly and thin, such as I had never seen in all the land of Egypt. And the thin, ugly cows ate up the first 7 plump cows. But when they had eaten them, no one would have known that they had eaten them, for they were still as ugly as at the beginning. Then I awoke. I also saw in my dream 7 ears growing on one stalk, full and good. 7 ears, withered, thin, and blighted by the east wind, sprouted after them, and the thin ears swallowed up the 7 good ears. And I told it to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me." Pharaoh's magicians should have been able to explain that evil is never satisfied. But then they, like most of us, were probably so busy defining good and evil according to their own standards that they couldn't see the difference between the two according to God's definition. Solomon understood, though, as he wrote in Proverbs, "The leech has 2 daughters, give and give." 3 things are never satisfied. 4 never say enough. Sheol, the grave, the barren womb, the land never satisfied with water, and the fire that never says enough. What do leeches, the grave, a barren womb, drought-stricken land, and fire have in common? Well, none of them produce anything of lasting value, which is a characteristic of evil. We can see that easily enough with leeches, the grave, and fire. Leeches have usefulness in healing, but that comes from their function of sucking blood out of their hosts. Fire also is useful in its production of heat, but that too requires a source of fuel for consumption. The grave only consumes, and is the destination of all living things in this present age. The barren womb and drought-stricken land are different. They're designed to produce life, but circumstances beyond their control render them lifeless. Sometimes those circumstances can be reversed, but we're grieved and puzzled when our best efforts fail to restore them to their life-giving function. It's important to understand, though, that a barren womb and a barren plot of land are not evil, but are victims of the evil inherent in this world. Evil sucks the life out of someone or something, giving nothing in return. Like the 7 bad cows in Pharaoh's dream, evil can drain the life completely out of a person, a church, or a nation and appear unchanged. Evil never improves. It only expands its destructive reach, like a black hole that consumes all the light around it. This is where we learn about how people respond to evil. Ideally, we would recognize something rotten in our midst and take steps to deal with it. That's very hard, though, when we're already doing what we're supposed to be doing by raising our children, supporting our families, cherishing our spouses, learning God's Word and applying it to our daily lives, and dealing with the many trials that come at us. Who has time or energy to look beyond immediate circumstances and see what's over the horizon? Well, this is why we need our elders. Older people can offer counsel on life that might help us avoid the consuming evil that is always at our doors. But even wise old people can't see everything, and sometimes evil just happens. Even with godly discernment, it's hard to recognize every creeping rot that threatens to consume us from within. What do we do when it's advanced to the point that we're all in danger? Our Messiah gives advice in a parable that echoes Pharaoh's second dream. He put another parable before them, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while his men were sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. So when the plants came up and bore grain, then the weeds appeared also. And the servants of the master of the house came and said to him, 'Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have weeds?' He said to them, 'An enemy has done this.' So the servants said to him, 'Then do you want us to go and gather them?' But he said, 'No, lest in gathering the weeds you root up the wheat along with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And at harvest time I'll tell the reapers, gather the weeds first, and bind them in bundles to be burned, but gather the wheat into my barn.' It would be nice if we could uproot and eradicate all the evil influences among us, but it's not that simple. The evil that besets us may be something God allows to test and strengthen us through the struggle. Or maybe it's something that must proceed to its logical conclusion so God can judge it and remove it completely. We can't always know for sure, so the best thing is to be faithful with what He's given us. He tells us to choose life so we can live. Those good cows are symbols of life. Let's see how we can be good cows in our Father's pasture and trust Him to take care of the rest.